Hello, good evening, and welcome to Varsity Maine Live, presented by Central Maine Power from the Portland Press Herald. I'm Travis Lazarzik, and tonight I am joined by my colleagues Steve Craig, also from the Press Herald, and Drew Bonifant from the Kennebec Journal and Morning Sentinel, though not for long. Guys, thanks for being here. Our guest tonight is a junior at Maranacook High School. She's back pitching for the Black Bears just 10 months after being diagnosed and treated for cancer. She's here with her twin sister. Please welcome Alexis Michaud and Alyssa Michaud. Guys, thanks for being with us tonight. Alexis, just first, how do you feel and what kind of comfort did you get from getting back on the softball diamond this season?
Honestly, it was really nice knowing, like, when we first found out, not knowing that I didn't know if I was going to be able to play or not at first. And then when I went back in December and they told me that I could, it just was like the best feeling to know that I could go back to pitching and having my sister catch for me. And yeah.
Alexis, was it always, was it always like you didn't know if you're going to be able to pitch and that was kind of up in the air? Or was there a point where you just kind of almost felt yourself making peace with the fact that I'm just not going to be able to pitch this year? And did it ever get that far along?
It kind of was up in the air. Like, they said that it honestly just, like, depended on how my body felt, like, after. And, like, pretty much what, like, I felt like I could do. So, like, if I was sore, then, like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. But when I got back to it, I felt completely fine. But, like, after games or practices, my neck hurts a little bit. But, like, it's not too bad like we thought it was going to be.
Alyssa, it sounded like from the story I read that you weren't able to visit Alexis very often in person, but that you and your older sister certainly made every effort to make sure she knew that the community was supporting her. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did and also what might still be ongoing?
We did a lot of things. We made T-shirts and sweatshirts for everyone to buy to support and show Alexis that everyone was supportive. We did a parade for her when she came back home to show that everyone was so happy for her to be back. We made a big video, like everyone made a video and talked about Alexis and how strong and she's fighting and strong for everyone. And we made a video about that. We did a lot of things where the community could show Alexis how much they supported her and knew that they were gonna always be there for her.
How did that help you, Alexis?
It was really tough not knowing that I had my sisters there and stuff, but knowing that they got the whole community together and was supporting me in every way. It just was the best feeling because people were checking in on me every day, people that I didn't really know, and they were messaging me and asking me how are you doing and stuff. So it was amazing what they did, got everyone together and was supporting and stuff. But yeah.
I want to remind everyone that you can check out Drew's fantastic story on Alexis at varsitymaine.com. And it looks like you guys are off to a good start here for the season, softball-wise. Alyssa, when you're catching your sister now that you're getting a chance to do that again, how long into a game does it take for you to realize that, she might be on and what pitches are working? Because I imagine you've caught her, dozens of times throughout your life.
It starts in warm-ups. I can tell what pitches she's on with or what pitches I shouldn't call for the game. If she's off, today at our game, she was definitely off on her her changeup, so I didn't call that much today. And I can just tell starting in warm-ups what I should call, what I shouldn't call, knowing where I should put my glove, knowing where I should set up. I just starting in warm-ups, I can tell if she's gonna be on or off for the whole game.
And Alexis, I got a chance to see you pitch in person against Old Orchard Beach the other day. It looked like velocity was there. You look at. I got a chance to see you guys play last year too. And if I had no idea what had happened in between last season and this season, I would have thought you were the same person out there. How tough has it been to kind of get your form back? And were you surprised at all at how pitching and being able to play just kind of came back to you even after everything you went through with a fused spine and everything like that?
Yeah, well, my form, like I can tell that like my form's definitely the same from like pitching last year to this year. It's just like I don't have all my strength back. So I like last year I wouldn't get as tired much. And this year, like third, like fourth or fifth inning or whatever, I like start to like get tired or whatever, but I just push through. But like last year, like I was like strong, like pushing off the mound and stuff. And it took a lot to get back, knowing that like they took the muscles out of my thighs and whatever. So I just had to like prepare myself to like know like if I get tired, I just have to push through and do the best I can for the rest of the innings or whatever.
Yeah, I would imagine you learned how to cope with discomfort through all of this process, or at least maybe not cope, but deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, does that? I mean, it sounds a little cliched, but do you use some of that when you're competing now? You know, I beat cancer. I got through tougher stuff than this.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of a quote that you told me where you were like, "Yeah, I'm sore after I pitch a game," but when I compare it to where I was feeling in September after having the surgery to fuse your spine, just, it's nothing compared to that. And you were saying, I think you said that the pain when you went through that was 10 out of 10. Just describe kind of, how it felt to go through that, and when you finally started to turn a corner and feel like, okay, I'm getting better after all of that.
I mean, yeah, I was in lots of pain after like my neck fusion, whatever, and couldn't really do much. Didn't really like. I just stayed in the hospital bed, tried to rest up as possible, and then, like my neck was really sore and like my legs and whatever. I was just in so much pain, and then when I started feeling better, I could tell that like the pain was like going away and like getting better and whatever.
And Alyssa, what was it like? I mean, you guys have, being twin sisters, you've been together in almost everything that you've done, and all of a sudden you had to go through a fall season without your twin sister there. How tough an adjustment was that? Was that for you?
It was very hard to like adapt to, like in this fall when we had soccer. Like we would always go to practice together, like ride together, but I didn't have her there for like do anything, practices, games, like anything. Like we would always like warm up together, and I didn't have her there for like literally like nothing. And it was very tough, especially because we've always done everything together since we've been young. So it was really tough not having her there, working together like we've always done, like making each other get better and stuff. So it was very, very tough to get through that without her being here.
Okay.
Alexis, do you get any special treatment now? I mean, I don't mean medically, but do you get to do something? Actually, let me ask a more serious question. I mean, having gone through this, do you see it? Has it changed maybe your day-to-day approach on just doing whatever that might be that day?
Yeah, I mean, I take it easy on some things, but like, I pretty much just living my life now, like doing what I can and not really worrying about like it because I mean, we don't know what like the future is gonna bring. So I'm just doing like the best I can right now. I'm playing all my sports and hanging out with my friends and everything.
How about you, Alyssa? I mean, how do you think this has impacted you as a person?
It definitely has been impacted me a lot. Like I've definitely had to, like when she wasn't here, I had to change like mostly my whole lifestyle. Like I had to live without my parents for like 3 months. I had to like do support everything back at home with just me and my older sister. I had to get through school, get through sports. Like I had to, my life flipped upside down too.
Okay, guys. Alexis, Alyssa, thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the season and keep fighting.
Thank you so much.
Alexis and Alyssa Michaud, everybody. All right, we will now move on to Athletes of the Week, sponsored by Central Maine Power. Central Maine Power, we're committed to building a smarter, stronger, and more resilient grid. At CMP, we are Mainers invested in Maine. Learn more at cmpco.com. Okay, we'll start with Maya Vincent from Edward Little Girls Tennis. Playing at the #1 singles, Vincent led the Red Eddies to a 4-1 victory over Lewiston to end a losing streak of 4 decades. Yeah, 4 decades in the rivalry between schools. Edward Little had not beaten Lewiston in girls tennis since 1982. the year the Eddies won their only state championship. Vincent won her match 6-1, 6-0 over Libby Forgus. Caleb Waterman from North Yarmouth Academy Boys Lacrosse. Waterman had 8 goals and 3 assists in an 18-5 win over Gardner. Erica Hill from Lisbon Softball. Erica struck out 14 hitters in a 12-1 win over Carabec. Cody Balker from Thornton Academy Baseball. Balker threw a perfect game, an 11-0 win over Sanford. He retired all 18 hitters he faced, striking out 8. And at the plate, he hit 2 doubles and a single. Steve, a lot of good pitchers in Southern Maine this year. How does Cody stack up with all of those guys?
Yeah, I got to believe he's very much at the top of the list. Maybe just that one notch below Zach Johnson from Greeley, who's, people are talking about as a possible draft pick because he's, 4 inches taller and he's a left-hander. But Bowker, tremendously athletic, really competitive kid. And probably the thing that helps sums it up as much as anything, he's going to Georgetown, but he's going as a two-way player. Really quite rare for college baseball now to be recruited as a guy they expect to essentially, be Shohei Ohtani on their team, to pitch when it's his turn and play in the outfield and hit when he's not pitching.
Great. Matt Charpentier from York Track and Field. He won the discus with 144 feet 2 inches and shot put at 50 feet and finished third in the javelin at 125-1 in a meet against Wells, Old Orchard Beach, and Seacoast Christian. He leads the state in both the discus and shot put so far this spring. Hayden Fletcher from Monmouth Baseball. Fletcher hit a pair of homers in a 12-7 win over Deergo on Monday. Drew, Monmouth kind of right back up there near the top of the MVC. How do they stack up against some of the other teams, and not just the MVC, but Class C South?
Oh, they're definitely faking championship run this season. I mean, this is a team that went all the way to the state final last year. Brings all but one senior back. Granted, it was an important player in Cam Armstrong, who was there last year, but brings everybody back, including Fletcher, like you just mentioned, is a key player for them. He's the player at the top of the lineup, and we know how important that player is in high school baseball. That guy who can get on base and is fast, that can make things happen, and he's that guy, that table setter for them. And so, having a player like that, also the shortstop, team leader in that sense. So he's a really big part of what they do. And having experience back at so many parts of the field, their coach, Eric Pileski, tried to say, try to kind of put a little bit of a damper on that by saying, hey, we're still inexperienced. We're a team that's dealing with not playing 2 springs ago too. But no, there are a few teams that are in a better spot going into this year after last year than Monmouth is.
Okay. Ruby Slokowski from Kennebunk Girls Lacrosse. Ruby went over the 100 career points mark in an 11-3 girls lacrosse win over Yarmouth. She had 3 goals and an assist in the victory. Mitchell Ham from Falmouth Baseball. He drove in 4 runs in an 11-1 win at Massapesic. Cadence Morse from Oxford Hills Softball. Morse had 5 hits, including a home run and a triple, 4 runs, 6 RBI, and a win over Edward Little. She had a grand slam against Camden Hills and 2 doubles and 2 RBI against Mount Ararat. Connor Konkala from Bonnie Eagle Boys Lacrosse. Connor scored 7 goals in a 20-5 win over Lake Region. Hunter Gibson from Poland Baseball hit a walk-off 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th inning to lift the Knights to a 9-8 win over Mount Blue. Kaylee Mishu Nolan from Wells Girls Lacrosse. She had 5 goals and an assist in a 17-4 win over Trape Academy. Mia Claire Kiesel from Thornton Academy Track and Field. Mia posted the best times in the state this year in the 1600 at 5 minutes, 8.47 seconds last Thursday against Deering, Massabesic, and Gorham. And in the 3200, where she ran 10 minutes, 48.85 seconds on Monday versus Falmouth. And finally, Carly Ferentz from Greeley Girls Lacrosse. Carly had 5 goals and an assist in a 10-5 win over North Yarmouth Academy. Congratulations to all our athletes of the week. We have our first polls for the spring season tonight, starting with baseball, guys. We'll start with just the top 5. Number 1, South Portland at 4 first-place votes. Number 2, Thornton at 1 first-place vote. And then 3, Oxford Hills. 4, Bangor with 2 first-place votes. And 5, Gorham. Steve, have you had a chance to see either South Portland or Thornton yet?
No.
Sorry. That's okay. It's early.
It looks like certainly. I mean, both Thornton did get beat. And geez, now I'm drawing a blank. Westbrook, maybe a team to watch out for. I mean, Westbrook's kind of once upon a time was a powerhouse, and they've been kind of dormant for a while. But they've started 3-1-1 with I think they tied Portland, and one of their other wins was kind of stood out to me as well. Of course, I won't be able to find that quickly on my paper, but just to demonstrate that I actually do take some. Yeah, they also beat Scarborough, which it does seem Scarborough may be a bit down, but still that's a historically good program. So that's a great start for Westbrook. I think Thornton will be right there, and South Portland has the depth of pitching. They're not going to give up many runs. It'll be a question of whether they, when they get in that, say 0-0 game late, are they the team that can push across to run?
Sure. Okay, in softball, number 1 is Skowhegan with 5 first-place votes. Number 2, Biddeford picking up a first-place vote. Number 3, Brunswick picks up a first-place vote. And then round out the top 5, Oxford Hills and York. Drew, the Skowhegan team, do they have a lot of the same girls who were on the state championship basketball team?
Yeah, they do. All 5 starters from that championship basketball team are on this softball team, and I believe I saw them play once against Hammond Academy, their first game, and I think all 5 are in the starting lineup. So there's a lot of carryover, and plus this is a team that has a lot of players who are on the field hockey team that went to the Class A finals. This is a team that knows how to win big games both in softball and just beyond. I mean, this is a team that is certainly planning on playing big games this year with so many players back from a team that won the Class A title last year. They expect to be back, and when they're playing those regional finals and state finals, if they get that far, they're not going to be intimidated by that stage at all. So this is a team with a lot of talent and now kind of a winning pedigree as well.
Yeah, success breeds confidence and more success.
Exactly.
So it just feeds
absolutely.
on itself. Boys lacrosse.
Yeah, I was going to throw one in there. Just one team I'll be watching, especially going forward, is Brunswick. I had them 3rd in my poll, and 5-0 at the point when I filled it out. They'd beaten defending Class B champ Cape in a close game and pummeled their other opponents. So that would seem to be the team most prepared to maybe challenge Skowhegan up north.
Sure. Yeah, and you got Biddeford down undefeated again in Class A and in Class A South. So those 2 teams that were in the final last year looking like they're going to be tough to knock off this year as well.
Yeah, and Biddeford beat Wyndham in a pitcher's duel. Last year it was 14 innings in the playoffs. Tonight it was just 7, but it was a 2-0 game, and Charlotte Donovan allowed only 1 hit to Wyndham.
Yeah, a ton of undefeated softball teams still. I know it's early in the season, but there's
7 games, man. I mean, it's only a 16-game season. It's not that early.
Yeah.
Gets early. What is it? Get late quick or something like that?
Yeah, it gets late early out there.
Yeah. All right. Boys lacrosse, we have a number 1 tie. We have Cape Elizabeth and Scarborough. Cape got 3 first-place votes. Scarborough got 4. And then they're followed by South Portland at 3, York at 4, and Thornton at 5. And then girls lacrosse, we have Kennebunk getting all 7 first-place votes. A tie at 2nd with Massabesic and Scarborough. York is 4th, and Falmouth is 5th. Guys, it seems like the power in boys and girls lacrosse is still kind of in the southern end of the state, as the central and northern state part of the state are still just getting growing the sport.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems that way. You've got some teams up a little bit more north that look like they can go on a run. Messalonski was the number 1 seed in Class B last year in the boys' side, and they bring back, I feel like I'm broken record saying this, but they bring back a lot of players from last year. So, that's a team that I imagine is going to be around for a while this season and making a run. But as opposed to, can they run with the southern teams? That's always the question.
Okay, let's kind of move.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say, Cape showed it was maybe mortal. The Cape boys, they nearly lost to Falmouth, a team that had already lost to Thornton. It was an 11-10 score. Falmouth did get one late to make it 11-9, but there was enough time that if they'd won the faceoff, they might have been able to tie it. So that was fascinating to me, because honestly, I didn't think anybody could even come close to Cape this year, and I have already been proven wrong.
All right, we're going to move on to a little football. I know it's not football season, but there's some news surrounding high school football in the state that you guys are working on today. Changes, particularly in the Class A scheduling. They're going to be allowed to play New Hampshire teams. Drew, kind of fill us in on the basics about this.
Yeah, that was the piece that was voted on today in a meeting with the Interscholastic Management Committee. Was to go over that point about about Maine teams playing New Hampshire teams, which was kind of the last piece that needed to happen for them to go forward with scheduling the way they want to. Got approved today by unanimous vote, and so so it's a go that all all green lights for Maine teams to play New Hampshire this year, and to give Class A teams. It would only be Class A teams that are playing them, but it would give them. The question was whether the 8 teams in Class A would have a bye week, or would get that 9th game of the schedule that would be against a New Hampshire team that would be a really good opponent and fair matchup and all that. And so with that being set up, we're set to see a little bit of history this season.
Both you guys have covered high school football in New Hampshire. How do you feel like the best teams in Maine stack up against the best teams across the river there?
I got to tell you, I've been around since like 1987 when I got a job in Dover, New Hampshire, and we covered not only the New Hampshire schools, but Marshwood, York, Trape. And Trape was actually pretty decent back then. That's how long ago it was. But I've always wondered. I am not a scout, right? I'm not a college coach that is out there evaluating talent in sort of like a vacuum, if you will, where I can really gauge. So I honestly don't know. I think there are more larger schools in New Hampshire. The entire Division I, everybody's 1,000 enrollment plus, and they're used to playing schools that are closer to 2,000 or 3,000 in Pinkerton Academy's case, and they just do it. It's not we got to escape to Division II because we can't compete. Winnicott, 1,050 kids. They won the state title a couple of years ago. They were in the state final last year. Goffstown, same size. They won a state title since they went to this system in 2013. I think there's a message there. Sure. But I think it'll make for some fun games. I mean, there's no reason. Here's the problem, though. They've waited so long, there's nobody to choose from, or not as many as there should be. There's 21 teams. You should have been able to find a game. Now it sounds like there might be 9 that haven't gotten a game already filled to fill their bye. And so now, getting that really appropriate match, it becomes more difficult. It does look like, from what I was told, there's at least 3 or 4 teams that would work really well with the bottom tier of Class A still available, maybe. But the top tier, there's basically 3 teams, maybe. And so that there's Oxford Hills, Bonnie Eagle, and Thornton. And then so that makes it a little harder for the Bangor, Scarborough, and Sanford, who I'm assuming are the middle 3 of the 8, to maybe find that right matchup.
And echoing on what Steve was saying, I've also been interested to see how these states would match up, because I've been wondering that question too. My guess, and this has only been a guess, like Steve said, I haven't asked anybody who's in on the scouting side or something, but I've always thought that because the New Hampshire schools are bigger, there's probably some more depth and everything with their teams. But I've been impressed with how the Maine teams coach the game and play the game in terms of scheme and everything. I remember coming from New Hampshire, where if you're covering a low division game, it was pretty much only running. You would see teams that I saw a team that probably had about 600 kids at their school. They play games and throw the ball once. It was a big time.
Did they win though, Drew?
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about Plymouth? Did they win?
No, it was actually Bo, and it was when they went to the state final. But anyway,
nothing wrong with running the ball.
But then I get up here and I see teams with a lot smaller teams, but they're coming out and they're throwing the ball, and they're putting the ball in the air 20 times a game sometimes. And I was impressed at how they still play a pretty sophisticated game, even with low numbers up here. So to finally see them have a chance to clash is going to be interesting. If we don't get those wrinkles that Steve was talking about in terms of teams already having their schedules filled up.
I just hope it continues beyond 1 year.
Yeah.
If we really want to see the intriguing matchups, right? This year, you just might not get them because they aren't available. But I think if everybody on both sides, and that's assuming New Hampshire still needs Maine for their bye week. But if everybody knows ahead of time, these coaches are going to talk. They're going to figure out a great matchup. I mean, Thornton against, say, Exeter, or certainly Pinkerton would be just a classic matchup. Bonnie Eagle goes down and plays whoever is the best other team from the Seacoast area, whether that's Portsmouth or Winnicott that day. I mean, I think that would be a great matchup. And then, Gary Stevens was saying, wouldn't it be good to have Lewiston playing one of the Manchester schools, 2 old mill towns, similar similar personalities. I don't know if that's really true. On a time it was, you know, and you're going to see a different facility if you're a fan. You're going to see it, and you are going to be able to gauge. You know, are we as good? Kevin Cooper mentioned to me. He said, "Look, if we go down there and we compete well, it could increase, you know, maybe not scholarship opportunities, but at least notoriety for our better players, because it would be just one more little thing that you can prove." And he compared it to the, you know, football doesn't really have this as a team, but he compared it to the summer opportunities for basketball and baseball. You know, when those kids go out of state, they show they can compete.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you think that there is going to be a, you know, I got to believe a kid like an Anthony Bracamani or kids like that over the past few years. You know, Jarrett Flaker, when healthy, they would stand up just fine against whoever they're playing.
Yeah, it's too bad that it took basically desperation from Maine to make something like this happen. I know I went to high school in Vermont in the late 80s, graduated in 1990, and we played out-of-state teams every season. It was just something you did for our school anyway. We beat Bishop Girton.
Was it because you were getting shut out by some of the other teams, or was it an active choice by you?
We had to play our 5-game conference schedule and then schedule whoever the heck you want. So we would find good out-of-state opponents to get better for when we had to play our conference games. But like I said, we beat Bishop Girton, we beat Concord, we played teams from the Springfield, Mass area. Binghamton, New York took it to us, but they were ranked in the USA Today top 25 that year. So, you know, you just take your licking and get better from it. But hopefully this is something that, you know, Maine can look at as a good thing and grow, and, you know, maybe not just keep it in Class A in future years. Let's see how it goes this year.
Yeah, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't touch on really what, in my opinion, is, well, the Class A against New Hampshire is kind of the sexy, you know, soundbite thing. It's exciting. It could be historic, etc. The bigger thing here is the statewide 11-man schedule and the way they've set it up. And I know Drew did a little bit more on that end today. You know, what's your big? Let me ask you a question that I asked a few of the people I talked to. Is this better than last year?
I think so. I mean, just from hearing what the details would be and seeing how the schedules would go. So just to kind of rehash it, the teams will be ranked in each of the conferences based on the coaches. The coaches will be doing the ranking. So you get people who are in the know doing it, and, you know, knowing what the teams look like coming up and being able to rank accordingly. And then it's drawn up so like each class has a slot depending on the ranking. And then, so like, you know, if you're the first ranked team in Class B North, for instance, you might play, you know, the second ranking team, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, or, you know, maybe seventh in there, with the idea of being the top teams will play as many of the top teams as they can in the conference, and the bottom teams will play as many of the bottom teams as they can in the conference. And that way you get away from the first place team playing the 10th place, or the best team playing the 10th best team just because they're in the same class. It gets away from that and replaces those games with crossover games between like-ranked teams. So
from different classes.
Yeah.
Or potentially in the case of B and C from the other region, as they've done for several years.
Yes. So instead of Marshwood playing the last ranking team in Class B South, as they might have had to do, that game they don't play, and instead it gets replaced with a crossover game against Leavitt, for instance, or Cape Elizabeth, whoever ranked number one there. So you get the 1B South and the one, and they'll play Thornton in the class up. But you get a lot of intriguing crossover games. You get a lot of crossover games where it's it matches up well on paper, instead of, you know, you could have gotten last year a Class A team versus a Class B team, but it may have been Thornton versus a Class B team that really had no place playing a game like that or something like that. Now that's going to be adjusted for and accommodated for with this system. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of unique and close matchups. We're still going to see the occasional blowout, just because, you know, the last ranking team in Class B North will play the third ranking team in Class B North. So that could be a Wyndham or a Lawrence. That will still be you can't get away from it entirely, but it's going to be a lot less than years before. So that's going to be good to see.
Yeah, I think overall what the system does is it has eliminated the games that everybody knew was going to be a blowout. As one coach put it to me, this eliminates that night when the only question is, are we losing by 40 or losing by 50?
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, wish I'd used it.
Great. And we have a new team in 8-man up at the top of the state in the Fort Kent Madawaska Wisbon team. So congratulations to them joining the ranks.
You know that?
We got to get them to play Trape Academy and Kittery and get like one end of Route 1 against the other end of Route 1. And a nice home and home. I think that'd make everybody happy, right? All right. That's going to do it for us for this week for Varsity Maine Live. For Alexis, for Alyssa, for Steve, for Drew, thanks for joining us. Please check out varsitymaine.com for all the best high school sports coverage in Maine. Thanks for watching.